Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is the latest film in the franchise, so today let's rank all 10 of the Planet of the Apes films from worst to best. Hey everybody, my name's Justin here. I try to watch everything that hits theaters and on streaming services. If you guys are like me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and click that bell notification for more up and coming content. Leave your list down below. How would you rank all 10 of the Planet of the Apes films? I'm excited to see your list in the comment section. Coming in last place is Beneath the Planet of the Apes. The follow-up to the original Planet of the Apes had a significant smaller budget, and a lot of the film feels like it's a retread of that original film with Charlton Heston, but this time you have a character named Brent and he encounters the apes. You spent a good amount of the film doing a lot of things that the first film set up already, but what it's lacking is the intensity behind Brent meeting the apes, some of the build up to his first encounter with all of them. There's really no suspense and a decent reaction from him. And then when you get to the end of the film, you feel like there is a decent story with it, looking at the world beneath the Planet of the Apes and humans that live there, and how the humans have this nuclear bomb. But a lot of what they deal with when it comes to that nuclear bomb and exploring the worst fears of the apes, it doesn't feel very shocking. And then the movie ends with the world being blown up. Coming in at number 9 is Battle for the Planet of the Apes. The 5th film in the original Planet of the Apes series ended on a pretty sour note. There wasn't anything thrilling about this battle for the Planet of the Apes. There really was no epic conclusion to it all. You have Caesar that's challenged by Aldo, a bloodthirsty gorilla. You do have some tension that is building within the first hour of the movie, but it forgets most of it when it gears towards the end of the movie. And the budget feels like it plays a significant part in here, as a lot of the action scenes don't do a lot of the storyline justice. You don't feel like you're involved with a lot of what's going on between our characters, and you're just watching the apes fight against each other, and there's really nothing cinematic about it all. Coming in at number 8 is Planet of the Apes, directed by Tim Burton. I understand that this movie is bad. It's a film that a lot of people will probably have at the bottom of their list, really in last place. I watched this movie a lot growing up. It is one of the films that I remember just constantly playing that DVD. And I was young, and I was unaware of the structure of the story and the dialogue and all of that. But I do have fond memories of watching this movie. As an adult, I am aware of the cheesiness behind it, some of the really poor dialogue within this film. But I did like the world building within this movie, and I liked Mark Wahlberg in here as Leo Davidson and how he was leading this uprising against the apes. There are some menacing moments, especially coming from Tim Roth's character. There are some haunting scenes with some of the lighting and some of the action. It terrified me as a kid. And they do take a more darker approach compared to the original Planet of the Apes film. It is one of those films I just liked watching as a kid a lot. I remember having some action figures for it. A lot of my thoughts for this film is based mostly on nostalgia. I've watched all the Tim Burton films, and honestly, this one really feels out of place compared to other movies he has directed. I'm not sure Tim Burton honestly was the best choice to direct this movie, but I did like some of the action. I did like some of the haunting vibes to this movie. It's a pretty decent movie, but I truly understand why people really dislike this movie. Coming in at number 7 is Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. I like that this film had a political undertone to it and how Caesar is treated, and the apes as well, and it justifies some of the choices that Caesar makes against the humans with the apes. There is a lot of planning going into place, and there is limited budget, but they do a great job of utilizing the set for some of the direction and seeing how things are played out. There's some intensity that rises within the third act as the apes are gearing up against the humans. So I like that the film really did have a smaller budget, but they used it in a very smart, strategic way. I find it interesting to see how each film had a different budget and how they really utilized all of that. I thought some of the costumes for the apes looked pretty good in here as well. I liked seeing a new character within Planet of the Apes and seeing a continuation of Zira and Cornelius' storyline and how Caesar in this storyline played out throughout the movie and brought forth the apes against the humans. There's some pretty good action within here, utilizing a lot of darker scenes to bring out some of the haunting vibes to Caesar uprising against the humans. Coming in number 6 is Escape from the Planet of the Apes. This is a more light-hearted film compared to the other entries in Planet of the Apes. You have Cornelius and Zira that escaped from the destruction of the world at the end of Beneath from the Planet of the Apes, and they arrive on Earth and they are met with love from a lot of people. They are very curious about them and how they can talk, and they're very interested in all of that, and they have to really hide what they know due to the fear of being mistreated and what they know from Charlton Heston's character. So they tiptoe around things, and I think it's a smart way to tell the story and build on the fear that the apes have against the humans and where they know the humans to be within this timeline. So it's a smart way to bridge the conflict between the humans and apes as well. I really like Kim Hunter's performance as Zira. You really understand her as a character, her fears, her motivations, as she wants to protect her newborn as well. So there is a lot of decent storylines that push their way throughout this movie, and it really does a great job of building off the two previous films. Coming in at number 5 is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. This is the latest installment in the franchise, and I thought this was a really good film. I love looking at the destruction of the world, how it's so desolated. Society has crumbled. It's now ran by apes. And you have a storyline that has to look at the legacy of Caesar done in a very smart way. He's not a character within here, but the discussion of him feels very prominent within this movie. I love some of the new characters in here. The human storyline as well, I feel like it's going to be taken in a strong direction moving forward. It is a bit long at times. Westball takes on a lot, this daunting task of exploring this world, how it's crumbled, what the apes do throughout the day and their community as well. So he does take on a lot, and it does move a bit slow in the first and second act of the film, but the third act has a lot of great action, decent human storylines connected to the apes as well, and a end that could signal stronger films moving forward. Coming in number 4 is Rise of the Planet of the Apes. When this film came out, I wasn't too sure about it because I loved watching the 5 Planet of the Apes films with my grandmother, but I was welcoming a new addition to the franchise. James Franco leading this film did a great job of capturing the relationship that humans had with apes and how he cared for Caesar. Caesar loved being with James Franco, but he was curious about things and where he came from, and it did lead to that challenging conflict between humans and apes as Caesar saw the love that humans had, but also the aggression that they had, and it did a great job of leading into Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and War for the Planet of the Apes. This is a smaller film compared to both of those films directed by Matt Reeves, but this movie did a great job of just showcasing the relationships between humans and apes, but then slowly building the progression of the tension between the humans and apes, the hatred that some of them have for the humans, and justifying their decisions and the pushback against the humans. There are some great action scenes at the end, but I love some of the smaller, tender moments between the humans and apes, looking at the relationship, and it does affect Caesar in films moving forward. It's a great start to this reboot trilogy, and I love seeing the softer side to Caesar. Coming in third place is Planet of the Apes from 1968 with Charlton Heston. I love that this film took its time with building the big reveal of Charlton Heston speaking, because we knew that he could speak, so we feel that frustration that he has within this movie, and the apes are hurting other humans and hunting them down. We know that he could speak, and we know that when he will speak, it will be something big. And still to this day, there are a lot of big moments in here that feel iconic to film history. When he speaks for the first time, the end of the film with the Statue of Liberty, there are a lot of big moments within this movie. But I thought the film did a great job of slowly building up the reveal to the apes, building up that big reveal of him speaking. These are iconic moments, and they have a lot of great payoff. But other than that, the costume designs look good for the time it was released. You look at the side of the apes and how they are trying to study humans and take care of them as well. You see nice relationships develop between Zira and Cornelius and Charlton Heston's character as well. But also you have the aggressive side and looking at the world building within this community. There's a lot of time that the film dedicates to where the apes are at, the past as well, and just understanding where they are and Charlton Heston's reaction to it all and him trying to get back to his own timeline. It's a really interesting film, and I still think it holds up to this day and one of the strongest films in the franchise. Coming in at number 2 is War for the Planet of the Apes. This is the bleakest film in the franchise, the grittiest film. It is the most action-packed movie and a really emotional film as well. There is a lot of stunning scenes within this movie. Somehow they managed to make the motion capturing and the visuals even better compared to Dawn for the Planet of the Apes, where that film felt very dark. This film feels like it's more brutal. There is a lot of big action scenes in here. Even though this is an action-driven film, they do manage to flesh out these characters throughout the movie. You have a lot of depth given to Caesar as he is encountering these emotional scenes. You have other characters like Bad Ape, played by Steve Zahn, that contribute a lot to the movie. But it also looks at the politics between the humans and the apes and what they are trying to accomplish, and the action scenes as well. It all really just builds to an epic conclusion to this reboot trilogy, and an outstanding score to this movie. Very emotional. These are Caesar is a character that you latched onto really in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and seeing his storyline progress throughout. It is a solid movie and one of my favorites of all time. But coming in first place is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, the second film in this reboot trilogy. I love this movie. I love that you had the apes that were trying to distance themselves from the humans. You had Caesar's beliefs that played a strong part within this movie, as he didn't want to fight against the humans. He helped them out a lot throughout the movie and was able to see the good within them. But there were also humans that were trying to attack the apes, and all he wanted to do was protect his family. You see his beliefs that does play a big role in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes really set within this movie, as he understands that there are good sides to the humans and bad sides as well. And Matt Reeves is able to give that nice balance between the human storyline and the apes, as well as the humans are trying to gain access to a dam to give their community power, and Caesar sees why they need it, but also is a bit hesitant on it as well due to the humans attacking the apes. Maurice the orangutan is lovable, and Koba is villainous within this movie. But Andy Serkis once again gives a really profound performance as Caesar. You see that he's aggressive, at times kind, holding a lot back. Andy Serkis manages to capture all of the emotions for Caesar within this performance. In terms of the action, it's really big. Some big scenes between Koba and Caesar. The buildup of the human storyline with Koba trying to take over. There's a lot of thrilling scenes in here, and the film feels like it's murky, it's dark, it's wet. A lot of the film within the woods, as it feels very isolated from the rest of the world. You see the world is starting to fall apart, and seeing that progression of the apes taking over. It is a strong film. One of my favorite films from 2014, I believe it was released, but I absolutely love this movie. It is the best film in the franchise in terms of the storylines for the humans and the apes and where it leads the apes. And Matt Reeves does a great job directing this movie and showing the intensity for the apes and balancing out the humans as well. So there you guys have it, all 10 of the Planet of the Apes films ranked worst to best. How would you rank them? Let me know in the comment section, and stay tuned for more up and coming content like this. My name is Justin Watches Movies, and you guys stay classy, YouTube.